Hi, this is Gadi Elkan with Silly Film News here with the Dallas International Film Festival. We're now talking with the DP behind Bomb City, Jake Wilganowski. And Jake, I was really blown away by this. At first I thought, okay, this is gonna be like a Texas film. It's gonna be kind of hard-nosed, gonna be kind of independent. But when I first saw the opening shot in particular, I was like, oh shit, this is real. How did you? First of all, let's start with what you got to shoot on, because you got to shoot on a pretty new camera.
Yeah, we shot with the red two red weapons in 6K, with Kowa anamorphic lenses, which are lenses 60s, probably late 60s is when these were made. They're beautiful, I love them, and they're small. So I don't know if anyone knows much about anamorphic lenses. They're usually pretty big. These are really nice and small, which if you see the movie, there's a lot of handheld and stuff. So, yeah.
How many? Talking about that handheld, what was your rig like? Like, how did that set up?
Kind of did a variety of things, but I built everything pretty small. I mean, the camera itself, with everything, wireless focus, wireless video, battery, all that, was only about this big. And then sometimes I would use a support rig, with it, but a lot of times we would just go straight handheld. Yeah.
And then looking at some of the shots, let's start with that opening shot. You said that was basically the first thing that they wrote, and that was the opening of the film.
Yeah, like that shot is described in the script. It like opens the film, and it's described sort of exactly like we shot it. So basically Jamie, the director, had that shot in his head. So I really can't take credit for that shot. That was all him. Like he envisioned that, and we did exactly what he wanted and what was described. I mean, it was. He wrote it out so visually that, we basically shot what was on the page on there, yeah.
Then kind of the switch to that is there's football scenes, there's actual playing scenes, there's also a tremendously big fight sequence. Can you talk about shooting those different styles, where you were, like the field shots in particular are really good, because you guys had some great collisions, and then the way you edited them, the masking of that was pretty incredible.
Yeah. There's a point early on in the film where it cuts between a punk rock show and a football game. So you've got people in the mosh pit, and then Jamie, cross cuts that with football players. So it's, it gets back to the point of like these two different cultures, but we're all really doing the same stuff, and we're all the same, just in different ways. But I can't remember the field that we shot that at, actually. I really can't remember where that was. And I think I can't remember if we did two different places or not, but anyway. But yeah, we shot it at night. So we did two things. A lot of the B-roll that you see of like cheerleaders and people in the stands and all that was an actual Amarillo football game that we went to and shot at. And then that's intercut with all the hits and things like that. That was, empty field, late night kind of thing, where we had some football players and stuff like that. But so it's cool that we got to go to Amarillo to a real game, and, stuff hasn't changed that much there in 20 years. So, Jamie would pick sequences where the time period looked correct and everything. And yeah, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of this combination of like a real thing and our stuff we made up. Yeah.
What was it like? Because it's a true Texas film. It's not only shot a little bit in Amarillo, but mostly here in Dallas.
Yep.
A little bit in Rockwall, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, a little bit in these other little towns around, but yeah.
How much fun was it to keep it home? Because so many films and projects can't.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, probably the biggest reason why it was in Dallas is because they found this perfect location. And it's awesome that it was here. But they would have gone wherever they needed to find this location. But the Bomb City warehouse where the punks hang out is actually here in the Cedars in Dallas. And it has this really cool courtyard. And it's not really used for much. It's got a bunch of junk in it. Sometimes it's used for art shows and things like that. But just really cool location and laid out perfectly for the film. And so once they found that, and then we kind of branched out from there. So that allowed us to do a lot of other things in Dallas, and then go to Amarillo for specific scenics and things like that, or other places around here. But yeah, a lot of it was right there. Our first week was right there at Bomb City for the whole first week, which was cool, being in one spot for a week, because everybody gets to gel, and it's like the beginning of the movie. There's a lot of big scenes. It was cool, yeah.
What about some of the shots? Like there's the great shot when they're building kind of the art project that eventually would be put out, and you guys zoom all the way out. So those kind of bigger type shots.
The signs, yeah. So that was actually, there's a lot in this movie that had to get cut out for time. And when I say a lot, I mean an hour, like a lot. There's a whole other thing that it goes into, which is sort of a story of Stanley Marsh, who was a sort of an eccentric billionaire in the town that sort of funded all these art projects that these punks worked on. So, since he was so rich, he had a lot of land and things like that. So that stuff is still there. So there's a place out there where you can go, and it's still in the family. So that the scene where all those signs are and stuff, like that stuff's real. It's there. And then, like it says in the film, if you go to Amarillo today, there's still about 2,000 or 3,000 signs all around town in different spots. You'll just randomly see them. They're getting old now, but they're there. Because what they would do is they would ask the people to put them in their front yards, and people would let them do it. And a lot of them are still up, and they're just the weirdest things ever. And then the sign graveyard is where we shot, and we do this big aerial shot that shows all these signs laid out. But there's a lot of other big art project-y stuff that's there that was in the film that had to get cut out for time. A lot of cool stuff. It's a really interesting story. Like, if you really dig in, there's a lot going on.
Kind of switch sides to that, there's also a lot of great close-ups. I think in particular the car wash scene where we fully zoom into him with the colors and just him losing the color in his mohawk. Can you talk about the more intimate shots and getting to, it seemed like you had a lot of fun. You didn't just make a film from a distance. You got to actually get into each character and some wonderful close-up sequences.
Yeah. Well, I think the car wash you're referring to, that happens in the beginning when he's like, yeah. So that one was cool. That was actually, I think, that might have been like literally the last shot we shot for the film, and it was just me, Jamie, and a couple of the actors driving back to Dallas. Jamie had this idea. He's like, man, it'd be awesome to get him, washing off in a car wash, for this traveling sequence. And so we kind of got on the phone as we were driving and like found these different ones, and then we found this perfect one in Denton, and it was like 1 a.m. And we just, super guerrilla style, just jump out. I don't think we used any of our own lighting. We sort of positioned him in a certain way, and then there was like, we waited for a couple cars to be in a certain spots with their lights on, and just like grab these quick moments. And it's like literally one of my favorite shots of the film. Like, I love that. Those two little shots there are beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
We got to kind of touch upon the fact that it is a Dallas theme and it is a Texas shot film. Can you talk about being able to, you've shot a lot of projects, Courtney Wares, you've shot a couple with her. We talked about, you kind of got to start with Julia and Playroom as a gaffer. Being able to have a Texas group, and even though the funding might not be there necessarily on that type of legislation level, that there are people here and there's a lot of great talent here looking to work. What's it like to be in that community and to see it kind of come to fruition in films like Bomb City?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And it's funny because, the incentives are, always in flux and all that business. But man, Dallas is busier than ever right now. We have Queen of the South going on, a big Marvel pilot shooting, commercial stuff's in full swing. And then on top of all that, you have all these indie filmmakers doing indie films here and in Austin. And it's cool, man. I feel like it's booming right now. And the crew talent here is amazing. I mean, the crew here is incredible, and there's a lot of them, and they're all busy. Everyone's pretty busy on different things, but it was cool. I got to get some of my favorite people on the film, and they really did a great job. Yeah.
So I know when it comes to crew, you guys are on a film and then you move on. Can you tell us anything that you're working on now?
Yeah, just finished up a cool. I've been doing a lot of commercial work lately, but did this really cool sort of narrative commercial spot that I think is going to come out next week. That had some kind of special effectsy stuff in it, some cars flipping and stuff like that. So that was probably the funnest thing that I've worked on recently. Some fire, stuff like that. Yeah.
Just some fire. Yeah. I think that's a great way to end things, Jake. It was a real pleasure to watch Bomb City. I was blown away. I can't wait for the world premiere and people's reactions to us, because I think they're going to be blown away.
Thanks, man.
With how beautiful it is. And thanks for coming back to Allison here in Diff.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good thought.